Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Jeff Colson with Junior Hockey Live, and it is Wednesday night. We're waiting a little for Bloomer to get in. Bloomer is caught in traffic, and nothing really much I can do about that except for say hurry, and we'll get there. We're going to have some fun tonight. Hopefully this will be educational too, but in a different way. We're gonna play trivia, and we're going to play trivia with Mike. I'm going to ask Mike questions. Mike can answer them. You can help Mike answer the questions, so you'll get a chance to come on right away. Jump on. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us who you are. If you're involved in hockey, let us know. If you got players involved, let us know. We'd love to know a little bit about you. As usual, we did something last week, and it was severely successful, I guess you'd say. Highly successful. And that's we said anybody that subscribes to our YouTube Junior Hockey Advisor YouTube page, we will give you the copy, our webinar, seminar, online class, online course, all about the Junior Hockey Advisor. We covered this last week, or we covered this Monday night, and it was highly successful. We had lots of comments, lots of conversation, great questions, and I think we covered a lot of information. So if you'd like a copy of that, all you have to do is like and subscribe to our Junior Hockey Advisor YouTube page. And when you do that, just send me a DM off of the Facebook page, the Facebook discussion page, and I'll gladly get you a discount code for 100% cost covered. We've had these online, and we've been selling them for years. Now, I don't solicit much on the discussion page, so it's usually you coming through our webpage or you hear about it through one of our other sources. So if you want that, grab it. It'll help us out a lot. We picked up, I think, 50 subscribers over the last 24 hours since the broadcast, and that's awesome for us because it's Facebook, we sneeze and we get 50 new people. YouTube, that's a slow growing audience for us, and I'm not really sure why. And hey, if you're good at YouTube and you want to, find a way to grow our audience and help us grow our audience, give me a DM. I'd be glad to talk to you because, like I said, we on one side of the coin, we've grown this by thousands over the last 2 years, and we're still struggling to get to that 1,000 mark. I think we're in the low 700s now, but thanks to you, I know we'll get there, and appreciate it. So while we're waiting for Mike, let's check in with a couple people, then I'll tell you a little bit about myself. And I want to say hi from just outside St. Louis. My son is in his last year of juniors in the NA3HL. Well, congratulations on getting him through there. This is a great time for hockey for him because it's like being a senior in high school. Hockey players usually take pride on being in their last year on their team and helping out. So good for him. I hope he's having a great time, and I hope there's some good things in hockey and in school coming up for him in the future here. We've also got Troy coming on saying, enjoying it from Connecticut. Son is a 16 in the 3HL. So it's a 3HL night. Good to see that. And we've got Frank on. Frank says, grandson, 18-year-old, Notre Dame Hounds in the SJHL in Saskatchewan. So if you want square tires on cold winter days, that's where you go. Leave your car outside overnight, and you get up, and you actually got a big flat spot on the bottom of your tire. I was up scouting in Saskatchewan one time. Actually, no, and that's a trivia question coming up tonight. I was not in Saskatchewan, and that is part of the trivia question, so I'll leave it at that for a little bit later on. Come on, tell us who you are. Join us. If you got questions, we'll still do questions and answer for you, and would love to try to help you out. So I'm Jeff Colson. I'm a hockey guy. I do this because I'm a hockey guy. I've been doing this for over 30-something years. I currently work as a player development director for a team in the North American Hockey League, but I've been a junior owner for numerous junior teams at many different levels. I've been a general manager, I've been a head coach, and I've been a parent, and that's important too. And along with all that, a fan of the game, especially the junior level. I love the junior level, love to talk about it, love junior and college. I like the transition periods between the two. So anything we can do to help you with your process, answering questions, that's why we're here. we're also here because we want to make sure that you get some. I'm slightly biased because I work for a junior program, but I try to come across as objective and unbiased to your situation. I'm not attached to you, and I'm not attached to anything you're doing in hockey. So I can objectively give you an answer to steer you. Now, if you're a superstar looking to play in the North American Hockey League, I might angle it a little bit different in that situation. I'm kidding, but my point is this is not set up for me to gain off of you. It's for you to gain off of myself and anybody else that's on the show with us. So take advantage of it. Have some fun. I sure as have fun. It's been a great week. This is a tight week for a lot of hockey right now, because what happens to a lot of teams right now is they start dropping players in different ways. And when I say drop, it's not really the right phraseology. If teams are making a run, they're looking to bolster for that run. In other words, a junior team that's in first to fourth place, and they really think they got a shot to win their division or win whatever league they're in, their championship, they may be looking for that last piece or piece or two for the puzzle. Not every team will trade at the deadline, but like in the North American Hockey League, I think our deadline's coming up in about a week. So, there's a good chance that some teams will move players back and forth this week. But, one of the great things about the sport, and, most coaches have, they have a heart, I should say. I know in the North American Hockey League, what you'll see a lot of times during this type of year, and this is several different leagues doing the same thing. I'm only checking to see if Mike's here yet. I know he's going to be popping on in a second. He's just texting me. So one of the things they'll do is, let's say you're a last place team in the North American Hockey League and you don't have a chance to make the playoffs. What a lot of teams will do is they'll look at their players that are last year players and see if they can move them, logically move them to a team that could use them for the run. It's a good move. I can tell you it happened with my son. My son was on a last place team. An interesting team because it was a last place team, first year coach, but the most commitments in the whole division, most Division I commitments in the whole division, which is a really bizarre anomaly. You normally don't see that, okay? But what happened was when it came to playoff time, they started moving the senior players, last year players, and moving them up and out to other teams. So that's how my team ended up on the Shreveport Mudbugs, and had a phenomenal run, and they won the Robertson Cup. Went from last place team to first place team, and was a key component to making the run. That's the beauty of this time of year. So part of players are anxious, but there's a lot of good hockey players out there that are looking to move at this time of year because they're hoping their coach can do something to help them and get them on a team. Not every player gets that opportunity. Not every player is going to fall into the first place team that wins the championship. But boy, oh boy, there are some players that'll get a shot here. Fresh lease on life, and hopefully they have a great time with that. So while we're waiting for Mike to jump on here, let's see what else we've got. We've got Linden, Michigan. If you don't know where that is, that's just south of Flint, a little bit southwest or south. Just don't get all the way to Flint if you're coming up from the Detroit area. Says son is a QB on a decent Tier 2 team, which is ending soon. He wants to play juniors to prep for college. What's our next step? We'll catch up with you on that one a little bit later in the broadcast. I'll come back to that one, and if I don't put a comment on there to remind me to. Brandon from Amherst on there. Good to see some Western New York. I'm assuming you mean Amherst, Western New York, or is that Amherst in a different state? Let us know, Brandon. I'd be interested in knowing where you're at. Which one do you recommend? Which one do you recommend, the NAL or the BCHL? We'll cover that a little bit, but I also have tons of video that talk about the differences in the league. If you put it this way, you're in a pretty good spot if your choices are choosing between those two leagues. You're not in a bad spot at all. If your two choices are if you're going to play in the NAL or play in the BCHL, I'm not saying you can make a bad decision, but I can tell you this, most likely either decision is going to work out just fine for you. So thoughts on the NCDC expansion on the West? I'll tell you what, I'll jump into this one because we're still waiting for Mike to come on so we can start our Night O trivia, and it's going to be a blast. We're going to have some fun. I'd really like to see you guys participate. I'll ask a question to Mike, and I'll give you guys time to actually jump in when the questions start rolling. We've got them all up and loaded so you can see them. And but let's jump on this question first. And even though Mike's here, I'm gonna put Mike on, and he can listen to the question too. And Bloomer, how you doing? We're already rolling. We've already covered everything. We already had the whole trivia night, and just wrapping up and saying good night. So, got anything to say?
Good night.
Just started. I'm tap dancing. Actually put on the steel cloppers and was doing the cane and the whole thing, So anyway,
I expected you to be spinning plates and doing a bunch of stuff, just kind of killing time until the star got here,
Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. We do have one question I want to jump into. We've covered this topic before we get to trivia, but the question came up just a second ago. Thoughts on the NCDC and let's see if that'll pop up. There you go. Right across Mike's face. Thoughts on the NCDC expansion in the West, and covered it before. We'll easily cover it again. Your thoughts on this, Mike?
I mean, I think that there's not going to be a NCDC West when it comes to like the complete talent of the current NCDC. It'll just be a grouping of teams that used to be the Western States League that now is a part of the NCDC. But there's no way they're going to be able to all of a sudden increase the talent of what was already out there. There's just not enough players available, and those programs are still, for the most part, going to be ran by the same organizations they were before. So I think, maybe over a long period of time, they can help increase that level a little bit more, but it's going to be more in line with the USPHL Premier. It's just going to be out West.
Spot on. I gave the story the last time we talked about this. I used to be an owner in the USPHL. Before the NCDC, the Premier was the highest level. All the teams that are in the NCDC were Premier, and it went Premier and then Elite below that. And I think we had Empire. So we had 3 levels. They just changed the name to NCDC to distinguish it a little bit from the USPHL. However, all the same players. You look at that list of NCDC teams, except for a couple of expansion ones, was the USPHL Premier. The USPHL used to be what league, Mike? You know where I'm going with this?
Say that again.
What league was the USPHL before it was the USPHL? The
EHL.
EJHL.
Yeah, it's the EJHL.
So, we all owners of that league, were members with a few of the teams in the EHL, and the EHL was formed with the split between those two. So all the teams that you see in the NCDC that are non-expansion teams, the core teams, were all EJHL teams. They split over here in the EHL core that started the EHL, went over here, and they picked up some other teams from some other areas, the Atlantic Juniors, Empire League, some other teams like that. So EHL was formed, USPHL was formed. So, but I want to move back the year or 2 or 3 before that. So same players, NCDC players across the board, same exact leadership you have now, same ownerships were making the decisions. And no, this is not a knock on it. It's just the reality of it is the South was really pressuring to try to get into the EJHL because it was the best league at the time on the East Coast. All of your Division I commits, even NHL commits or NHL draft picks were coming out of the EJ. It was a phenomenal league, well-sized, well-placed as far as travel. There's not much you could say that was wrong with the league at the time. And it was a much, as far as the output is nothing like what the NCDC does now. It was much more in line with something between the NAL and the USHL, somewhere in there. Great brand of hockey. So when the South started pressuring with their teams, the EJ said, okay, we'll form a South Division. And they gave them a number of what their tuition was going to be every year, or their league fee was going to be every year. They accepted it. And we as owners had a nice check at the end of the year from the fees that came in from those teams that was divvied up among all the ownership. So it wasn't a bad thing for ownership. We actually enjoyed having the South. Was there any crossover play? No. No teams in the EJ ever played EJ South teams. Was it on the same level? No. You look at the rankings, and it was pretty clear to see that the EJ still was the EJ, and as far as output, college players, the South would put some players into Division III, and if you were playing Division I, you were coming out of the EJ. So since it's all the same players and it's the same script, except instead of going south, it's going west, my assumption is you're going to see the same thing. You're going to have the NCDC free brand of hockey out west. And at first they might be able to pull a couple players in because they get the allure of playing in the NCDC. But if I had a choice between playing in the NCDC for a brand that's already been established or a new brand, unless I'm out there sightseeing and want to see mountains, I'm probably going to go to the brand that's already been there. That's my opinion as a person that, like yourself, that works in the industry. I find it hard that a really good player headed to the NCDC is going to make that jump. Now, will it be NCDC? Sure. Yeah, call it whatever you want. You could call it Bozo the Clown League. I don't care. But you're going to get the same product that was there before. You're not going to get NCDC product. I absolutely highly doubt that the NCDC, those teams are going to travel. Part of the reason why they got rid of the peripheral programs in the NCDC, your Rochesters and your Syracuse, is because they wanted to push the NCDC to the East Coast more and get rid of those 6-hour bus trips. So all those teams want to stay close to home. They want to play close to home. It's good for their budget. It's good for their team. It's any team that doesn't have to travel a lot. It's a good situation. So I hope that helps a little bit with the answer. It's not that I think it's going to be a bad situation. It's going to be opportunity, but it's not going to change anything in my opinion. My opinion is your NCDC is going to be the strongest part of it. That whole USPHL pyramid and the new West Division will fall in line somewhere, just like you said, maybe a hair above the Premier. But
I think the best way to kind of make it so it's a clearer picture of like how the two would be different is we've said it before when we've highlighted the NCDC on why that league is good, and some of the best players that play in the NCDC are kids that were committed when they were 15, 16 years old already. They're from out east, whether it's Mass or New York or New Jersey or somewhere in that area, Philadelphia. And instead of them, if they can't play in the USHL, instead of them going somewhere in the North American League and playing, in Texas or New Mexico or, name the place, they can stay home, stay local, and play in the NCDC. Well, none of that applies to any of the teams that'll be out west, because where those locations are, you're not going to have that hockey factory like you do out east that can keep the talent there. So are you going to get kids from that New York, New England area to go all the way out west to play in the NCDC, or are they going to choose to play now in the North American League? If their options are outside of the NCDC East, you're still, like you said, the caliber of player that's going to be out west playing in those leagues, even though it's branded as NCDC, you're going to be competing with the USPHL Premier and the NA3 for that type of like top player from those leagues to play there, instead of the Western States League, which would probably be maybe a little touch behind maybe the NA3 or the USPHL
right. You're not going to pull one kid, in my opinion. Again, this is just one clown that's got a blog and a stream going. You're not going to pull anybody out of the NAHL. You're not going to pull anybody out of the BCHL. Unless it's purely economics, you won't pull anybody out of the AJ either. Just because those are high caliber leagues. So meaning economics, if a kid's got to pay any type of money in the BCHL, which I just had somebody on Monday night saying that their fee is $7,000 Canadian now. Anybody else has got information on that? I'd love to hear more information. I didn't get a chance to call up and talk to any coaches or GMs this week that I know we've been kind of busy. But that'd be interesting to know if they are charging. Every team across the board's charging now. Because that means that there's, virtually just a couple choices for free hockey now when it comes to juniors in the North American area. So anyway, were we killing time with that answer? Yeah, but that's an important question. It's a great question. And the rest of the questions we'll take after trivia tonight. So here's the rules. Once again, I'm Jeff. That's Bloomer. That's Mike Bloom. And this is the Junior Hockey Live. We do this every Wednesday that we can. As long as we are breathing, we try to get on and do this. We talk juniors. We talk about the leagues, the players, the coaches, and the teams. Our other information on other nights that we do live streams has much more to do with the development path and how to get from point A to point B in your hockey path. So tonight, instead of just talking about teams, what we thought we'd do is ask some trivia questions. It would love you to participate. So I'm going to ask questions of Mike. When Mike can't answer them, even if he can answer them, let's jump on and give him a hand if you can. We've got a nice little audience built up already. And you don't have to, but we'd love to see you participate. And you know what? If you give a wrong answer, don't worry about it. Nobody's judging. It is a judgment-free zone. This is the what's that gym that uses that judgment-free zone? The purple equipment. What's
is that Planet Hollywood or Planet Fitness?
Planet Fitness. We're the Planet Fitness of hockey advice online. No judgment.
I'll probably give more wrong answers than right answers. So whoever's chatting in at home, I can't see any of your answers, but I'll probably give more wrong ones than you would.
I'll put any answers up on the screen so you can see them, okay? So how does that sound? And hey, Phil, I see your comment coming in. I'll see if I can jump on that after we get trivia done. We'll stick around a little bit and talk about it. So let's jump on board with the trivia and get rolling. Look at that. We've got ourselves a nice trivia screen, and we're going to go to slides only and make that sucker a little bit bigger. Look at that. How's that? Is that almost like 8th grade professional?
Yes.
Got you and I on the bottom there.
The 8th graders now are so equipped with technology that this is probably like kindergarten stuff.
Yeah, they're looking at going, what are these clowns doing?
Exactly.
Okay, it's our Junior Hockey Live presents the first annual North American Trivia Quiz Competition. I was going to put Stump Bloomer on there, but I figured we'll keep it a little bit more like the Emmys, So nice, and first annual was kind of a nice touch. Yes. Okay, here we go. First question. Let me get over here. First question, it should be popping up here.
You probably have to go in presentation mode. There you go.
There we go. Currently, the Johnstown Tomahawks play in the Cambria War Memorial, where the film Slapshot was filmed. The film was filmed. What was the name of the team in the movie?
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs. Okay, that's half the answer. What? Yeah, was the
Charlestown Chiefs?
Charlestown Chiefs. There we go. Good answer. You're 1 for 1. That's not bad, man. That's not bad.
That's a good one. I could handle that for the first one.
You know these guys, right? I'll throw this in there.
Let's get some speed out there. Right? Keep your eyes open. Better passing. We got a big trade coming up out there. Try to come back with the wingers, maybe. Tonight.
Who wants ice packs here? Charlie over here.
Need some more coordination out there. Keep your eyes open. Better passing.
This is my favorite part.
That is great.
I'm coming. All right.
Little PTSD.
This is the best part.
We're losing.
Teamwork, guys. More teamwork.
They're burying us alive.
Eddie Shore?
Oh, piss on Eddie Shore.
Old-time hockey?
Piss on old-time hockey. You're
Okay, we could go
ruining
on forever. And it's a long clip, but I thought I'd throw that in there. We're losing.
I just love the goalie coming in, still blocking shots because he's got the PTSD from the last period.
So, one of my kids had a chance to play down in Johnstown for the Tomahawks. Incredible experience. if you're a hockey fan, put it on your bucket list to go down and watch a game there. It is one of the best experiences as a fan. When I was scouting in there, I had a great time. When I was there as a dad, I had a great time. Every time I walk in the building, I just thoroughly enjoy it. And there's a few reasons why. First of all, there are workers and fans that are still there from the 70s. So they literally are the same people that were there in the 70s. So they got that rock 'em, sock 'em, let's have fun, rowdy crowd, and that's mixed in with the newer blood in the area. It's not a big moneyed town. It's a blue collar town across the board, and just like the Chiefs, they come across a very blue collar program, and the rink is the same way. Good concession stands. You walk down on the corner of the rink by where the locker room's at. They have a Slapshot museum where you can go in and see all kinds of trivia from Slapshot. The organ area is still up there. You look around at the press box and things. It's all in place. It's a lot of fun to go there. And if you're being a veteran, a Marine Corps veteran myself, the War Memorial is built in and integrated around the mezzanine level. So as you walk around between periods and before or after the game, you can see all kinds of great stuff. Highly recommended. If it's not on your bucket list, go. Right next to it, there's a nice little restaurant right out in front across the street. It's only got like 3 tables in it, but it's got unbelievable food for only having 3 or 4 tables. Great drinks that are there. Great drink prices, I should say. And you can't go wrong. So if you go down there, have a blast, and it's a bucket list thing. You ready for the next one? No comment on that?
I haven't been there, so it's definitely on the list of things to do.
Okay, Michael. So, Michael, what 2 American teams could possibly travel south to play a league game against a Canadian opponent? What 2 American teams could possibly travel south to play a league game against a Canadian opponent?
Is that in the North American League or what?
This is open to any junior hockey in North America.
Well, I'm sure if you're in Buffalo, there's places that you could go south to play. If you're in Detroit, Windsor is technically south of Detroit. So let's see. If you're the Buffalo Junior Sabres in the OHL.
Oh, let's go to the help. Let's see what the crowd is saying for you. And I'm afraid the crowd's not giving you much good advice here. We've got Calgary and Edmonton, which are Canadian. Canadian. Remember, the question says, what 2 American teams could possibly travel south to play a league game against the Canadian opponent? So, your friends are coming in here with Alaska.
Oh, yeah, Fairbanks.
Alaska. Wolverines.
Kenai, Anchorage.
And Anchorage. Ooh, they're really coming from everywhere on this. So if I travel south from Seattle and south from Minnesota, that's a long way to get to a Canadian opponent if I'm traveling south. Now, Mike, you are almost there. You are almost there. Are you ready for the answer, or do you want a little bit more time?
I think I'm ready. I don't know. I'm out of guesses.
And I'm very upset that we didn't get more
help
there
from
the Peanut Gallery. So it's Saginaw and Flint of the OHL. And if you look on the map there in the thumb of Michigan to get down to Windsor, it's south with a little bit of east in it, but it's about as direct south as you can get for Flint and Saginaw to get down and play. You got to jump on 75. I don't know if they do that. They might go across in Sarnia and drive south, but I think they probably just head right down and take. Oh, by the way, so there's the map of the OHL. You can see there's 2 teams in Michigan there, and there's also one in Erie, Pennsylvania. 3 American teams there. I got a chance to see the new Gordie Howe Bridge 2 weekends ago, going to and from through Canada. Went across the old Ambassador Bridge. And if you're driving from Canada to Detroit, it's on your left-hand side, and it's probably a mile or 2 down. But you can see all the big stanchions coming out of the water now, and it's going to be pretty cool. If you don't know about it, Detroit and Windsor are putting a new bridge in called the Gordie Howe, and it's a brand-new bridge that will connect Windsor and Detroit. And it'll just be instead of driving on a bridge that's 100 years old, you'll have at least a modern bridge to cross now. So it was really cool. Really, really interesting to see that. So, well, hey, group out there, we got to do a little bit better job for Mike here. That was not the best effort.
At least I called out the area in which you were talking about. It just wasn't specific teams.
You did. You were close. You were real close. Okay, let's go on number 3. Question number 3 is, Michael, what USPHL Premier team has the most junior the USPHL Premier has the most junior teams in one league in North America. How many teams does that consist of?
Wow.
We just talked about this.
I know. I want to say 92, but I actually think it's 71.
The answer is 71. Let's see if anybody's going to help you and jump on and give you an answer. I know there's a few out there that are probably just jumping onto elite prospects right now and trying to count them out real. So we got one that says answer number C coming in for you, Mike. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'll give you one hint. It's not C. So we've got another one coming in saying 71. We've got another one saying 71. And I think
it's 71.
I think you guys have got it. I think the answer, getting back over here and moving on, is 71 teams. So nice. and they're still scrolling and they're coming in like crazy now. We got 71 here and 71 there. Here is 71. Good job, group. As an overall group, you guys did very good.
It feels like 92, but it's only 71.
I was looking at the list of names on there today. I'm like, I don't even know where this team plays out of, But anyway, it's because it used to be the old Minnesota League. It used to be the Western States. It used to be the Empire League. There's probably 5 or 6 good leagues that consists of. So let's get on to the next question. Let's see if Mike can pull this out and get a good score. Michael, which North American league has the most players with the last name Smith? Which league in all of North American junior hockey has the most players with the last name Smith?
Well, since the USPHL Premier has the most teams, I'm just going to choose them.
So you're going to go with the easy answer. Anybody going to help him out here? Anybody going to throw on any type of help for this?
Like there's some expert out there that has this in their back pocket.
I guess I'm the only idiot that looks up these kind of things. So, Michael, you got it right. Well done. Well done. The one league is the USPHL Premier, and they have 12 players with the last name Smith. It sounds like a lot. It's almost a full team or, a full couple lines. But the USPHL Premier, but when you've got, 71 teams, I guess that's not even one Smith per team, man. That's not even one Smith per division.
Right.
Okay, let's go. Very good. I know you had a couple answers coming. They came in late. Frank came in with North American Hockey League. Probably
Thanks,
good
Frank.
that you were a little late on that one, Frank. It wouldn't have helped him. All right, let's jump on and see. Michael, name 4 of the 7 U.S.-based teams that play in Canadian junior leagues. Name 4 of the 7 U.S.-based teams that play in Canadian junior leagues.
Well,
now, this one will be fun to see what answers come in.
Seattle Thunderbirds in the WHL. You have the.
Oh, you know what?
Flint.
Already a mistake. Already a mistake. Because you're right on Seattle, but Seattle wasn't there. Michael, name 4 of the 8 U.S.-based teams. Because I didn't look at the WHL.
Well, you got Seattle from the WHL.
Yeah.
We already talked about Saginaw and Flint.
Okay, so your help coming in right now is saying Saginaw. Okay, that helps. Flint, that helps.
Got those.
And, here's a good one. Sioux Eagles.
Yeah,
and Flint.
You also have the Buffalo Junior Sabres are not currently in the OJ.
They are currently on. They're just not playing right now, but they are.
They're dormant right now.
Oh, look, Tony's coming in strong for you here, Tony.
Oh, Wenatchee in the BC League.
Yeah.
That's a good one too.
And then he's coming in again with a little bit of Saginaw action.
Yep.
KS is coming in with the Junior Sabres. Seattle's coming in here again with Saginaw Flint,
Yeah,
Spokane.
Yep.
So you got it. You no need to kill this one. But since I stayed out of that, the Western League, your answer might not be completely proper. But Phil comes in late. But comes in strong. Throws another name on there for you. Wow, good job, folks. I think
McDavid and DeBrincat and Strome and geez, how many others?
a lot. Okay, so very good job. Here's some of the names. I know I already named it, but probably the name that nobody got was the Wisconsin Lumberjacks. What league, Mike?
They're in the SIJHL?
Very good. The Superior International Junior Hockey League. And if that's the first time you've heard of the Wisconsin Lumberjacks, folks, it might be the last time you hear about them because it's a league that doesn't. Well, there's only 6-7 teams. They don't get talked about a lot. And even though they're a CJHL league, they're designed at a little bit lower level than most of the leagues. So, but hey, good for them. Good for the Wisconsin Lumberjacks. I hope they have a great year this year. So, Michael, what province, this is for our Canadian listeners, watchers, viewers, what province is Flin Flon located, and what team and league is it associated with? What province is Flin Flon located, and what team and league is it associated? I'm going to tell you right now, there might be a trick question.
Well, I think I keep getting the AJ and the MJ a little bit twisted. So
You're going to need help on this one.
Is in the MJ, and they're in Manitoba. I don't know.
Anybody that can help him out of this jam, okay? Okay, so not bad, Frank. Frank's going to come in and strong on an answer here, but Frank,
okay, I like that one.
This is a trick question though. So I know Frank. I believe Frank is Canadian. Let's see if he can figure out the trick part of it. Or anybody want to jump on and ask? And here it is. It's actually Manitoba and Saskatchewan.
Oh, it's right on the border.
It's split. So the
Bombers. You got to give whoever the Facebook user credit for getting it right.
That's correct. We'll look that up in a second. I can't do everything here. I'm directing, producing, and trying to be the talent on the show at the same time. So Flin Flon has Denise, it says. So Denise, really good job for Facebook user. Flin Flon, population 5185, 4982 on the Manitoba side, and 205 on the Saskatchewan side. So it's split. Well, not quite split, but it is in two. There's a correction line, they call it, the border line, which I don't know what the correction line means. Maybe all at one point it was all on the other side, and they corrected it, which means Saskatchewan picked up a little bit. I don't know the answer there, but I did do some homework on this. The Bombers do play in the SJHL Saskatchewan League, which is interesting since there's only 200 people in the town of 5,000 on the Saskatchewan side, but they play out of the SJHL. So I thought that was interesting. I thought it was fun.
Good question. Yeah. I think I got 1 out of the possible 3 points on that question. I got Manitoba, which is partially right, but then it's the SJ and partially in Saskatchewan. So
let's see what everybody out there thinks about that. Your answer. Yeah. You're not. Yeah, I don't think that.
That sounds like when I played.
Yeah. Now I just got to make sure I can turn that off. Okay, there we go. So I also looked up what Flin Flon stood for, and it had something to do with the town was named in the 1920s, and we can get into that another time. But it was, it's another one of those places if you got a junior hockey bucket list, you get up to Flin Flon. It takes forever to get up there, but it is really, really cool. Oh, I do not know what the name of the rink is. I've been to the rink numerous times. Tell me the name of the rink, and then I'll probably go, oh, of course, that's the name of the rink. So do you know the name of the rink? What is it? Tell us I'm on the edge of my seat to remember the name of this rink. The Zoo. Absolutely. The Zoo. Isn't that great? The jerseys, the colors. I actually have somewhere around this house, one of their old coaches, a guy named Ray Maluda. This is going back probably the 80s, 90s. And I traded one of my Marine Corps jerseys for a Flin Flon jersey. And so I gave him that and got a Flin Flon. So somewhere in the house here, I've got a Flin Flon jersey. I'd like to get it out sometime and hang it up in the studio here, but haven't had a chance. So very cool. Thanks for coming in with the answer on that. I'm only seeing a Facebook user on that, so whoever gave us the answer of the Zoo, throw your name up there so we can give you accolades and credits. Mike, how you doing so far? Overall,
bullets after that last one. I like to get everything right, and that was a tough one.
Okay, Michael. Question number 7. The ownership group of this team hopes for explosive play that sparks many wins. Name the team.
Explosive play that sparks many wins.
2 clues there should give you the answer right away.
Let's see.
If you need a clue, I'll give you a clue, but I'm hoping that the audience can come in and help you on this. The question is, the ownership of this team hopes for explosive play that sparks many wins. Name the team. Anybody got any suggestions out there for poor Bloom as he goes through this very
So we're not
tough...
looking for the name of the program. We're looking for the owners of the name of the owners. I got you.
It says on the end there, name the team.
Phantoms.
Oh, very good. Very
the
good.
Own the Phantom fireworks.
That's right. So anybody that's traveling through the East and Midwest, you'll probably see this Phantom logo on a bunch of fireworks. Those roadside fireworks display buildings that sell right off the exit kind of thing. But they're huge as far as the company goes, and they own the Youngstown Phantoms. So a ghostly program that loves fireworks. So,
I can't believe I got that, but I'm more impressed that I was able to figure that out.
Well done. Hey, somebody jumped on and threw a comment up saying, would you recommend my son get a family advisor? I would highly suggest we spend an hour and a half on this Monday. Was it Monday night we talked to advisors, or was it last week?
It was not. Well, I wasn't included on last Monday. So the previous Monday we did. Oh, no, you did. You did talk about it on your podcast this Monday.
Yeah, so Monday night I would jump on to Junior Hockey Advisor, the YouTube page, and grab the Monday night broadcast, and it's all about the family advisor, and we spent an hour and a half going through all those details, and it should be a big help for you. And remember, you can even get a bonus on this. Anybody that goes to Junior Hockey Advisor YouTube page and likes and subscribes, you can DM me through the Facebook page, send me a DM, and I will send you a link or a promo code that gives you the All About the Family Advisor webinar broadcast, the actual webinar, and the online class for it. Takes an hour or two to get through, but it gives you all the details on it. It's a pretty nice little piece, and it's free. You can have it for free. We take the charge off of that, and that's a product that we've been selling for a couple years now on our website. So if you want that, jump on board, like and subscribe on our Junior Hockey Advisor YouTube page, and then DM me, and I'll be glad to send you a copy. All right, Michael, you ready to get back to the quiz here?
I'm ready.
Michael, this team's body contact could include cement shoes. This team's body contact could include cement shoes.
Their body contact.
What is body contact?
A check? A hockey check?
Or what's another name for a check?
Body contact.
Oh, you might have some help coming in here. Oh, they're coming in strong for you here. Oh, thank you, folks. There you go. Liz says the New Jersey Hitmen. Keith says the Hitman. Phil says, come on, Phil. Phil says the Hitman. And Facebook user, a little slow this time, Facebook user, the Hitman. KS says the Hitman. Everybody's got the Hitman. Mike, you had good help that time. That's the phone a friend for you.
Your New York contingent.
No. Plus, that was a clever little question.
It was. It threw me off because I was trying to figure out, because there's normally a little play on the question. I got stuck on the body contact part.
Yeah, it's a hit.
Yes, I understand.
Okay. So there it is. There's the New Jersey Hitmen. Great logo. Their bus looks cool too. So across the board, cool. All right, let's get on to the next one. Oh, Keith, you're in San Diego. Congratulations. So the question comes in from Tony real quick before we get to your question here. So disregard that question for a second. Tony wants to know, would you prefer users to go through YouTube when we don't catch the live broadcast, or watch on Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., whatever you prefer? To be honest with you, it doesn't matter to us, except for subscription numbers are low on YouTube, and that's a monetized area for us once we crack that 1,000. And since we're a couple hundred away from that 1,000, we sure could use the help just getting those numbers up. So for right now, not always, but for right now, we'd love it if you watched all of our videos tonight over and over again for the next 24 hours and had all your friends do that too on YouTube. That'd be awesome. So thanks, Tony, for asking the question. All right, let's get back to the trivia question. Question 9. Michael, this league has 6 teams represented by 2 animals, equally 3 apiece. Name the 2 animals. You got to figure out the league, and then you got to figure out the animals. So there's one animal that 3 teams are named after, and then there's a second animal that 3 teams are named after. So if there's 6 teams, you could probably eliminate a few leagues. I highly recommend you forget about the SIJHL on this one. I don't think that league's going to help you here.
Every team is the same name.
I think that'd be kind of funny though.
It's got to be the USPHL Premier again, just because there's so many teams.
Oh, well, let's hope we got some help coming in for you. Let's hope we got some help coming in. I will help you this far. It is not the USPHL.
Is it a American Junior League team?
It's in North America.
Well, that doesn't help me. We're only talking about.
I just eliminated 71 teams for you. You take away the USPHL Premier. Come on, folks. You got to help him on this one. This is a good question, but he's going to need help. Everybody's on Google right now. Oh, holy smokes. Home run. I'm hoping you did this. KS comes in hard with a good answer, and it is the correct answer. The Bulls and the Bears in the North American Hockey League. So can you name them? Bloomer, can you name the teams?
Well, North Iowa Bulls.
Boom.
Amarillo Bulls.
Boom.
And then
actually,
what was the other one? Amarillo became the Bulls of North Iowa.
Okay.
So now they're the Wranglers.
Okay. Keep going. Oh, KS is doing all your work for you. Well done, KS. Dude, this is one of your... I got to use the effing word here. You work for one of these effing teams, and you didn't even mention them.
I was thinking that they were the exact same name. Like Bulls for 3 different team names.
Would that be just too easy, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, but that's how I understood the question. So
then there's the Austin Bruins, which both Phil and Keith have come up with that answer. Come on, folks. There's a couple more Bears out there. Do I got to go to the answer sheet? I will. Great job, though. KS coming in strong for you. The Bulls.
That was a huge help.
The Bulls, the Bears. Being a Chicago guy, I threw that in there for you.
Yeah, but unfortunately, my reading comprehension did not pay off on that.
So Keith's still going crazy on this. Phil's still going Maryland Black Bears. They got it. They figured it out. In the Minotero one, Minnesota, it's a half bull up top. It's a man's body with a bull head on it, kind of like the the Amarillo. But tell you what, Amarillo had to get rid of their mascot. Amarillo's mascot, it looked like the Red Bull, from the Red Bull company.
Yep.
But this mascot had this huge bull head, all red. Everything's red. But literally was stuck in first gear on everything. It looked like the guy said, okay, I'm going to work. 8 downers, boom, boom, boom. Okay, now I'm as slow as I can possibly go. My resting heart rate is at 4, and now I'll go out and I'll be a mascot on the ice. This guy lumbered around and waved like this, It was the most depressing. When you were talking about Eeyore earlier today, when you and I were talking,
yes,
their Amarillo Bulls, that Red Bull was the Eeyore of the NAHL. I'm so glad that mascot's gone. Sorry, little side note. I know I get carried away.
That's a Jeff Colson special right there, baby.
All right, you gotta redeem yourself, man. To be honest with you, I think you're well below 50%.
I'm powering down here. I gotta have some Red Bull.
Question 10, Michael. Between the AJHL and the BCHL, who has the tallest player? Between the AJHL and the BCHL, who has the tallest player?
I'm going to go the BC route.
Oh, going BC. Now, this one's a hard one for people that cheat and Google on to get the answer. So let's see. We'll give the audience a second to come in and help. But I
just go to Elite Prospects, type in the league, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and see who has the. Oh, what are you looking for? The tallest in the league. So if he's like 6'7" or something like that, then that's the winner.
Then you got to exit out of that, and you got to go into the other team and do it all over again. But the answer is, it's the BCHL, 6'9".
Is that a goalie?
No, it not only is it 6'9", people are guessing the AJ. Your audience did not come in very good on this one. Got 2 AJs, and when it says I say the AJ, that's coming in with Junie jumped in, just throwing one out. Just I'll give it a shot, And then so then KS says my son roomed. Come on, KS, get you up there. KS says my son roomed with a 6'5" D-man in the BCHL. Well, guess what? Somebody else roomed with a 6'9" guy. Just tell that to your son. Or this kid had a growth spurt. KS's son's roommate had a growth spurt. All right. So you didn't do so well on that one either. Oh, did you say BC? You got it.
Yeah,
okay, you got it. Yeah, when you're 1 for 10, I mean, come on. I figured you miss them all.
Again, with you doing the math, I'll end up with no points by the time it's over.
All right, let's jump into the next question. Michael, between the AJHL and the BCHL, who has the shortest player?
Well, knowing you, Jeff, it's the same league. So I'm going to stick with the BC league.
Oh, we'll give the crowd a second to jump in and see if they can help. You're thinking that I would just try to throw you a head fake by staying in the BCHL, huh?
Of course.
Well, we'll see. Nobody's jumping in to help you on this one. I think people are just saying, you know what? There is no help for him. Yeah, there is no help.
I'm on my own.
So on this one, it's the AJHL. And look at the size of this player. Can you imagine if he lined up with that BCHL player at 6'9"?
That would look funny, actually.
So 5'4". Now, I wonder how accurate that is. So when I say how accurate, is it a young player that's still growing, or is it a kid that's 5'2" that says I'm 5'4" to get his stats? Because a lot of these kids pump their numbers up on how tall they are, especially when you're around that 6 foot to 6'1". Those if you're 5'11", you say you're 6'1". You're 6 foot, you say you're 6'1.5", 6'2". So I'm wondering if this is a legit 5'4", or if he's actually pumping the elevator skates.
Or sometimes, with Elite Prospect, they got the kid's information when he was maybe a U15, and they never had anything else happen to update that. So
You're
he
absolutely
may
right.
still be 5'4".
My weight on Elite Prospects is 195. So, and I'm sticking for it. Oh, here's a tough one for you. Don't look this up at home. Folks, if you're at home, do this from your memory. Don't Google this one. What? Michael, what does the NCDC stand for?
The National Collegiate Development Conference.
Whoa. Did you just say the National Collegiate Development Conference?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Is that right?
You got it right.
Oh my God.
I was part of that and I couldn't tell you what the answer was. So there we go. National Collegiate Development Conference.
I either saw that at some point and it got stuck in my brain, or because I just feel like I guessed it. And that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? That's just unbelievable. Just crazy. Unbelievably crazy. How about that? You can't believe it? Either can I. All right, here's one. Michael, if I'm playing in the CCHL, what part of the world am I located? And what does the CCHL stand for? Is that a Russian team?
No, it's a Canadian team. I think it's the Central Canadian Hockey League, and it's typically in Ontario.
Holy smokes. We won't even wait for the crowd on that one. We're going to go right to the applause. Not bad, man. See, I thought that CCHL might throw you where you got yourself all clogged up with the old Russian teams, the Dynamo.
No. I have had quite a few players over my years play in that league. It's a good league, actually.
It's a very good league. And that usually, one way to look at that is that's the perimeter on the east side of Toronto. If you kind of build a horseshoe around the east side of Toronto, that's where your CCHL teams are located. So very good on that question. And let's see, do I have another one? I think I might have ended it there. There we go. The CCHL is the name, and I love their logo. I think that's one of the coolest logos out there.
Their commissioner is a good follow on Twitter if you guys are interested. He's got a lot of good points and has some good opinions and things like that. So I follow him and get some enjoyment out of it.
Well, listen, that's it. That's all we got, folks. We can jump into some of the questions. I know we had a couple on there. Well done. For you that helped Michael out, thank you so much for helping him out. He needed everybody's help there. And you guys did
putting that together, Jeff. That was fun.
Yeah.
I did a nice job putting it together. That was
fun.
Thank
you. You know what's nice about it is even though we were having fun with it, there's still a lot of information to get a better handle of what's out there and where things are at. So I really enjoyed that too. So you got some people jumping in saying, that was cool. Thank you guys. Yeah, it was. I appreciate you guys all. It's fun when we had participation too. If it wasn't for the participation, it's just me and you talking like we do 2 hours a day. And that's, I try to get you off the phone all day long, and that doesn't happen very well. So, all right. Well, once again, thank you. Let's jump back in. Let me see if I can scroll back and grab a couple of these questions and see if we can jump in and help some people out here. Okay, so we got one here coming on here. Phil says, my son is a first-year player in the NCDC. 8 games into the season, he suffered a high ankle fracture. Ooh, I hope he's getting better on that. He was a top 6 prior to the injury. The team is currently making a strong playoff run. After being out 10 weeks, he returned last week and has been told he'll be a healthy scratch for a while. Any words of wisdom? Should he ask to drop into the Premier Division to get game time, or hang tight and wait for his opportunity? Thanks in advance. Mike, give that a shot. What would you tell Phil?
Wow, that's a tough scenario, because the last thing I would want to know a little bit more of like how good of a relationship you have with that staff. Because the last thing I'd want him to do is to voluntarily go down to the Premier League and then them never give him a chance to come back up. And then he's kind of stuck in that in that program and whatnot. The advantage of that is obviously he'd be able to play, and he'd most likely be one of the best players on that team.
Yep.
But the disadvantage, again, is just if they never give him a chance to come back up and he finishes out there, and then now he's, I don't want to say you're handcuffed in some cases, because when the season ends, you can always try to, make that team again in the NCDC or another team or whatnot. But, I would, if I was the player, I'd probably want to try to earn my way back on in practice, and, maybe doing more film with the coaches and doing anything I can to try to get back into their confidence, get their confidence into me that I can get back and play, then choose to like completely leave that situation with no, timetable or any type of dialogue of like when I could come back type of deal. So that's where like the relationship would have to come into play if I would have ever considered coming down or telling someone to come down, go down and play there and whatever else. I need to know that there's a definitive timetable of him coming back.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it very similar to you, Mike. I'm looking at this and saying a couple things here. Or I'm pulling this out of what information Phil gave us. First year junior player, probably. I tell this story once in a while. My youngest son was a first year player in the AJHL a few years ago. Defenseman, went to one of the better teams and started off really, really strong. There was 4 or 5 rookies on the team at the time, and the rookies rotated. So he didn't he never had all 5 in the lineup. And they were told that before the season started, and they were told how things were going to work before the season started. Hey, when your name's up and that's time, you'll sit for a game, and we'll keep rotating through. Now, my son got a little full of himself because he jumped out and put a lot of points up right away and was one of the higher points getters on the team, in the top 3, I think. And so we got just a little more full of himself, and we tend to let him make his, decisions and just kind of guide him. We never really steer him by grabbing his nose and dragging him through the mud like we should. So he went in and thought he had a really strong relationship with a coach who was also the GM, and said, "Coach, and it happened right after a showcase. He was sat, and the showcase had a few major college teams that were looking at him, and he got sat, and he was embarrassed, because if you're that good, why are you sitting in the stands?" Is his logic. So the coach said, "Hey, no problem. I'll make sure you're in the lineup and you get in every game." And the next week he was on the last place team, and the coach made a promise that he kept. Just wasn't with his team. So you got to be careful here as a first year player. I think if you got your son has the ability, and being a first year player, I don't think it's a bad thing if you got the relationship for the two of you to have a conversation with the head coach, if it's that type of relationship. I don't know the ground rules that were set with this team ahead of time. Can parents and players talk to the coach? Can they go directly to the coach? What's every team runs that differently. Some it's a very open door and it's very upfront. Others it's kind of a closed door and a closed process. So I would be concerned as a first year player not to rock the boat too much. But there's some ways to do it that you might, his son might at the right time in practice, or when they're coming on and off the ice or in the locker room, maybe suggest that he dresses as a 7th D and just gets back on the bench and gets a shift here or there, because that's not a bad way to get back in after 10 weeks off. I'm inclined to also fully explore, if the coach is willing to allow your son to talk about it, the premier option. If I'm still practicing every day with my team, but I'm able to jump in premier games, maybe practice with them and also, play in their games. As long as I'm on the ice practicing, I've lost nothing, because I'm still in my locker room with my teammates. I'm still practicing with them every day. I'm just getting some extra games with the premier team. I don't think that's a bad option. Once again, I don't know your relationship with the coach. I don't know how that team is structured. And so it's almost better that we answer it not knowing who that team is or who the coach is, because we give more of an objective plus and minus on that. So a little bit different thoughts on that.
But if you look at it too from a coaching standpoint, if they're, on a playoff push right now and they had their lineup set when he was injured, and now they're going to have to select a player that has really helped them kind of, you know, make this push, and they're going to have to now take that player out of the lineup for somebody who hasn't played for a while and, you know, may still be
Yep.
a little bit
Yep.
slow to adjust and things like that. That may be something that the coach doesn't necessarily want to have to do
Yep.
unless that player through practice and things like that shows that they are now outperforming some of the players that he would then have to take out. And in that case, you know, that the decision has already been made because he's, you know, practicing and doing all the things that he should be, and he's back on track. And now the coach has confidence to make that tweak. But then again, that's just like you got to have to understand the scenario and where the team's at, what the coach is like, what you can have conversations about. You know, like Jeff's point, if you can do both, where you're getting in games with the premier team, but you're still staying with your own team. You know, I don't know how close that even is, if it's the same building and same program for the two teams, or, you know, if you have to be completely different, you know, as far as
Yep.
like where you live and where you're at for that. It's something to consider, but it might also be a little test that the coach is giving your son to see how hard he's going to work to get his spot back, you know,
Yeah.
so there's that element too.
So that's why, you know, in my world, if you can get on the ice every day with that team, your team, and work out a deal where you can get extra ice and extra games with the lower team, the premier team, I would say jump on that, because, you know, from my perspective, that's showing the coach I'm at every practice busting my butt for you, but I'm also going to jump on the ice and bust my butt to improve so I can get back in the lineup with you. So handle right, this might be a positive. You might get more ice time. It might close the gap quicker for him on his recovery of his spot on that team and what he's doing. So good luck on that. Please let us know how that works out. I'd love to hear a great success story on that. So we got one from earlier. I promised them that we'd jump on this one. And this one is Linden, Michigan. Son is a what does that say? OB? 08. I thought offensive backer. You know, what the hell is an OB? Okay, he's an 08 on a decent Tier 2 team, which is ending soon. He wants to play juniors to prep for college. What is our next course, our next step? Well, you know, right off the bat, Mike, this is right up your alley because you've got a much tighter grasp on Tier 2 players moving to juniors. In fact, Mike might be one of the best U18 coaches right now out there on getting players from Tier 2 into junior levels. And tell them a little bit about what you do, Mike, and tell them what your thoughts are on this.
Yeah, so I coach here in Chicago. We have a league that is considered the top AA league in the country. It's the Central States Development League. So, you know, we have, I don't know, 6 or 7, depending on the birth year, 6 or 7 Chicago area teams. We got a team from Denver. We got 2 teams from St. Louis. Some birth years, there's 3 teams from St. Louis. And, you know, we partnered with the and like the NA, but it's really more for the NA3. And there's a lot of advantages to us playing in that league and whatnot. But really, it's developing kids to play beyond high school. And for us here in Chicago, none of our best athletes play for their high school. I know in Michigan, in some areas, there is still really good high school. Obviously, Minnesota is different. The different prep schools out east, that's completely different. Illinois, high school hockey is not strong. And most of the kids that play in it don't even have the ability to play juniors or really the want to. So at our club, we actually try to identify how many kids want to play juniors. And throughout the whole year, we're not only developing them for junior hockey, because it is much different, especially coming from Tier 2, but then we're also connecting them with a bunch of options outside of, you know, where I physically coach, or I should say scout, and I'm the director of player personnel within the NA. We obviously have an NA3 program, but I can't have all of my kids going to that program. So it's my responsibility to make sure, you know, my kids have options and they get to decide what's the best choice for them and whatnot. So as a coach, I'm doing a lot of that for them to kind of help them out, because they have no idea. You know, they don't know any of these junior leagues. In some cases, they don't even really understand the USHL all that much, because they just don't track it as well as they should, or they don't really get interested until they're older, and then it's a little bit too late. So, we take a lot of responsibility as a staff to try to help connect those dots. So for your question, if you can put it up there again, Jeff, I know it was kind of long and I only caught part of it, but I want to make sure we answer it as best. So this is an '08. So that would be a Bantam major currently. So still very early when it comes to this whole process, but you're trying to find out the best route or path at the exact right time. Because a lot of these conversations that I have are like when they're U16s and they never really thought about juniors, but now they're starting to get interested. And it's a little bit late in the game, and there's a little bit of panic that sets in at that point. You have some time now to start kind of figuring out what this is like. I would, try to look at a couple different camps. They have like different combines, whether it's the North American League or even the USHL. I know he's a double A player, but depending on how high of your level your double A player is, there's a lot of triple A kids that could very easily be double A kids and vice versa. So when, we have one of the top double A programs here in Chicago and really in the country, we've been at nationals the last 2 years. When I have my kids out at some of these camps, they're better than the AAA kids that are already out there. So, I don't get too focused in on the double A aspect of it. It's just where within the double A level is your team and him as a player. But I would start getting him introduced to some of those different showcases or camps just to kind of see as a measuring stick where he is compared to the other players that are out there.
So I would add one thing to that, Mike. I would add that everything that's spot on. That's a great answer. That's why I gave that to Bloomer, because I could not answer it the same way. I don't have that experience with Tier 2 AA players at 16s and 18s. However, with that said, everything Mike was talking about right there was really focused on getting you into juniors at an entry-level junior. In other words, it's going to get you to NA3HL, USPHL Elite, USPHL Premier, maybe the EHL. Okay, those are the leagues you're looking at. So your bandwidth is Tier 3 juniors from where you're at right now at best. Statistically, in the last 5 years in the NOL, in the whole league, there's been one AA kid. He played for the Shreveport Mudbugs, and he just graduated last year. The Heidi kid, that played defense for him. It just doesn't happen very often that you see, a AA kid jump, unless there's, a pandemic and a Tier 1 player drop down to Tier 2 because he can only skate there because of the pandemic. So that's one thing. And another thing you heard there, and because Mike's job there isn't to brag about his program, that's one of the better Tier 2 programs in the nation. And our mantra across the board, when we talk about your ability to be elevated to the next level, which is usually a Monday night discussion, but we'll answer it still here, is get in the best league possible, get in the best team possible in that league. That's how you get exposed. It's always trickle down from the top. And people, if you hear people say they'll find you, I'm going to tell you right now, you've got a director of one of the best NAHL teams that just told you how it works. And I guarantee you, when he walks in the doors of a rink, he's not saying, show me where the last place AA team is. I want to watch their game. Okay, it doesn't happen. We go to showcases. What do we do first? We look at the top teams, and we scour the top teams first at showcases. Then if we have time, we move down and try to get as many of the – because let's face it, we go to a showcase and there's 30 teams playing at U18s. The odds of us, I'm only human. Mike's only human. Now, we'll divide and conquer if we're both in the building, and we'll try to see as much as we can separately. And if we have our scouting staff with us, we'll divide them up too, and we'll try to see as many teams as possible. But I'm good for 3 games a day, maybe 4. And then I got to take a nap. I got to get some food in me, and I'm out the door. It's not like the old days where I could sit there and watch 5 or 6, 3, 4 games, and that's 2-hour games. That's a full day for me. I'm ready to move on. Mike's very similar in that regard. You only can suck in so much, but my point is, If I get 4 games in a day, maybe 5 in a day, that's 15 games if I'm watching everybody. That means that's 30 teams I'll see in a weekend. But that's not the way it works, because if I watch a really good team that I like 4 or 5 guys on, or let's say Mike sees a game where he really likes 4 or 5 guys and he wants my eyes on that game, that means I've got to go watch that game over, or that team over again, and maybe watch, and drop a couple teams on the bottom. You always want to be on the best possible team. Anybody that tells you just go out and play, they'll find you, I'm going to ask you right away, who's looking? Okay, who's that they? I know we're really big in this society now about pronouns, but throw that pronoun out the door. There is no they out there looking for you unless you put yourself in a spot to be looked at. The second piece of advice on that is always, when you go to showcases from here on out, always make sure you reach out to teams that are historically at that showcase. So if I go to a showcase and I always know the Lone Star Brahmas are in the building for this showcase, I want to reach out to Lone Star. Why? Because they're going to have a list of guys they want to see. Then they'll take that email list of people that reached out to them, and they'll try to see as many of those players, if not all of the ones that reached out to them too. And that works across the board. It doesn't matter if it's USHL, NCDC, PCHL. Most good coaches will walk in and they'll say, oh yeah, here's those 5 kids that reached out to me with an email this week. They might only watch you for 5 minutes, but they're going to try to watch you. And so you've already elevated yourself ahead of everybody else. Now, the last thing I have to say on this, and this is extremely important. If I'm watching a game, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm watching you. Now, let me clarify that, because this is extremely important. If I walk in the door as a Division I coach, a Division III coach, a junior coach, and I'm watching a game, and you're like, oh, look, so-and-so's down there. Name the guy that would impress you to be watching your game. It could be me. It really could. But most likely I'd fall in that category. Mike, maybe not, but yeah, I'll fall in that category. But here's the thing about that. Just because I'm there, I've got a list. So I want to see 5 and 18 and 7. So I'm lining everything up to try to see the guys I want. Then I'm watching them on the bench. And I'm watching them, and I'm trying to see if they're getting any cues from the stands. I'm watching them to see how they get along with their teammate. I'm watching them away for the puck. You might have 4 goals in that game, and I don't see any of your goals because I'm watching certain people on the ice. Now, if you reach out to me and get your name on a list, where now I go to that game and I'm like, even though I didn't plan on scouting you, I'm going to give you the courtesy of watching it. At least I might see 1 or 2 of those goals, maybe all of them. But that's the way it works. You can have a great game, and I walk out of there and go, I don't know much about that guy because I was focused on those guys. Now, generally, when you go in and see a raw team you've never watched before, you're watching everybody. You got to get in the flow. But once I know that roster fairly well, or who their studs are, I'm watching the guys I like, not their whole roster. So keep that in mind. You've got to make sure you put yourself on that roster or that list so that you are getting at least a look or two. And if there's anything you heard tonight, hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that's good points. And just to kind of wrap up some of the other comments, I would say is I have kids that will come to me that I coach, and they'll say something like, hey, coach, what do I have to do to play in the USHL? And I had a kid ask me that at the end of in our exit meeting as a U16. He's playing AA hockey. And it's like, well, you're going to have to adjust your expectations, or you've got to get to AAA hockey right now. And when you get to AAA hockey, you've got to dominate it, even to be a consideration, because you're late in the game at this point to have that as an option.
Yep.
Even in the North American League at this point, coming from AA hockey, to your point, is impossible. It's just not a route that you can take.
Yep.
So when I talk to all of my players, it's more based on where you're at today. You're going to have to play Tier 3 hockey. And from Tier 3 hockey, you're going to have to dominate that level. And when you dominate that level, you can move on to the next level, which is the North American League in most cases, or the NCDC. So it's having that conversation with the player. But to the question that was asked as an 08, if your son is at the point now where, some people have to go to juniors a little bit earlier just because the midget hockey in their area is not as strong, or
right.
The high school hockey isn't. So that's why, juniors becomes a little bit more of a reality. I'm not sure if that's your situation and your question, but if he can make a AAA team, that's going to open up even more junior doors than where he's at today. So, and if he's not quite there yet for AAA hockey, then have him try to develop his skill set on and off the ice. Off ice at his age now is going to be so important, just like all the on ice development that you can get, and try to make a huge jump. So if he's in the middle of the pack of his current team as a AA player, well, when he comes back to tryouts next year, he's got to be one of the top players, or he's got to be pushing for a AAA spot. And if he doesn't make the AAA team, he's got to have the best AA season he can, and then continue that development, and then make it to, as a U16 player on a AAA team. And if you can do that, now the North American League is more of an option. You don't have to necessarily always only consider Tier 3 teams. But at the end of the day, most of these AAA players are not going to the USHL, and they're not going to the North American League. So they'll still end up in Tier 3 hockey. They just may be on the higher end of that league, and it takes them a little less to get the opportunity to move up to another league. So you really got to understand where your ability is, and it's okay where you're at. It's, again, if you're a little bit behind, or he's a little bit behind, I should say, that's fine. But now you got to really start putting in the work in order to make that more of a reality. And that's what I do in my role, and the other people I work with and on our staff. We do a good job of trying to be realistic with our players, but then put a plan in place of what they will need to do in order to get the result they want. And then now it's up to the player. If they don't go all in, or, they don't want to go down that route, especially when it comes to the off ice or the extra on ice training, then they're selling themselves short.
Dude, the last person that was on, can you turn the lights off on the way out the door? You did that without taking a breath, man.
I'm
Wow.
good.
Good.
I'm good.
Hey,
I'll give
I
you
was
this
looking.
one little analogy, and I heard it from an NHL player that I coached with for a couple of years, and he said to a parent, he said, if your son was trying to learn to play the guitar, and the only time they played the guitar is when they went to their lessons, how long do you think it would take them to be good at playing the guitar? If they didn't do anything at home, they didn't listen to music, they didn't become, a student of the game, or I should say a student of that instrument or music, how long would it take somebody to learn how to play the guitar if you're only doing it at the lessons? And that's kind of the translation of, if you're only showing up and following hockey and doing things to improve your development when you show up to practice.
Yeah, if you're playing AA and you're just status quo as far as what you're doing, you're never going to break out and be a good junior player. That's absolutely not going to happen. Okay, you're just not going to move up. You got to. There is absolutely no. Believe me, you can put up any sport, any player. There's no such thing as a late bloomer. No pun intended on your name, bloomer. There's no such thing as a late bloomer. There's a late grower, a kid that goes from 5'5" to 6'2", and there's a late worker. And let me explain that. Chicago Bulls, you're in Chicago. 3 guys on their world-famous team that won, how many world championships did they win at that time? They
6.
won 6, a couple back-to-back times. Michael Jordan got cut as a sophomore, and everybody's like, ooh, Michael Jordan got cut as a sophomore. He was a late bloomer, and he stuck with it. Bull. If Michael Jordan would have stayed at 5'9", like he did when he was a sophomore, and didn't have a growth spurt that put him up to 6'5", 6'6", he would have never been in the NBA. You would. That's a dime a dozen. He grew with all those skills he already had into a body that did it. Pippen, he was a team manager, and then he grew a foot. Okay, his skill level didn't get better. And if you look at the other guy there, Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman doesn't have any skill. So all he did was grew, okay? You can grow and put yourself into a spot to be an elite athlete. Happens all the time. You see it. If you saw Shara when Shara first came to the league, he was, what did he do? He worked his butt off. He was an average player that was almost 7 foot tall. And then he got into the weight room. He got in with a better skating instructor. and he built himself into something that was important. There is no late bloomer unless you work, just like Mike is saying. You've got to work 3 times harder than every other AA player if you want to make it from the AA level up into higher ends of junior hockey. Period. Done. Another question came in. I know we killed that one, but another question came in on which league is better, major juniors or the USHL. And I had my great
me and you always go a little back and forth on that one.
But there's the right answer, and then there's you. So, I had my great coffee caper a few weeks ago I had a stack of USHL notes on this. But this is a no-brainer for me. Absolute no-brainer. The USHL has taken over that role across the board. They have just dominated as an individual league. You'll still see more players from the CHL, all 3 major junior leagues combined. But if we're talking about leagues, individual leagues, the USHL is killing it. They put almost twice as many players that are drafted. Their output of drafted players is almost twice as high as any of the other leagues. And it's right now it's the USHL, and I think they're averaging. We just did this a couple weeks ago, Mike. What was it?
Yeah, it
3
was
or 4?
Six something per team.
And then you drop all the way down to below 3 for the OHL, and even lower when you get into the Q. The Q is obviously right now they've been on a little bit of a weak streak for the last numerous years. But it's a no-brainer. If you can play in the USHL, you get the best of both worlds. You still keep your college eligibility. And now that there's a name, image, and likeness deal, you go to one of these major colleges with an NIL deal in hand, you can actually bring in money and be paid better. Listen to this. Better than many pros are being paid while you're still playing Division I college hockey. That NIL deal changed the world on this. So from my perspective, why would anybody shut down the door unless they had to? Keep your option open, play in the USHL. They're still pumping out. And it's not just the USHL without the National Training Development Program still has better output as far as NHL draft picks than those 3 individual leagues. You have to combine them together to beat the USHL. How are you going to beat that, Mr. Bloom? Come on, you say we go back and forth. Come on. You got your chance here. Platform's open.
The only thing that I'll say, and I know you'll probably make some sort of sound that says that I'm giving a wrong answer, is that, number one, there's a different style of play in the USHL, and it's very much speed, skill. There's a ton of space. There's not as much structure, and it really showcases the skill and the speed of the type of players that are in there, which is high end. In the OHL or even the WHL, it's a little bit tighter. You have a consistent schedule that's more pro-like, and then you also have a lot more physicality in the league. So, in some cases when you're looking at it from what's the best route to become a professional hockey player, I'm a little old school with how I like the game to be played, and the major junior route still plays it that way. But if I had a son that was, 5'10" and skated like the wind and had a ton of skill, the USHL is probably the route that, and obviously the whole college aspect is a huge benefit. But if he's a sure thing NHLer, I still might choose the major junior route.
Well, I would say the only reason why that happens still is because of the WHL and OHL good old boy network. You've still got so many people in the NHL that are scouts that are in their late 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s that work in the OHL, scout in the OHL, work for NHL teams, work for Central Scouting, that truly believe that the OHL is what it used to be, where it was the epicenter of all junior hockey for the NHL. Yeah. Clearly not the case anymore. Yeah, it's clearly not the case anymore. Still a darn good league. And if I know that I'm going in the first round to whoever, and they want me to play, they say, look, we're taking you in the first round, and we want you to play here. If an NHL team's already reached out to me and says that, okay, maybe that's a different story. But to tell you the truth, NHL teams aren't saying that anymore like they used to. Now they're saying, hey, if you want to go to Michigan, go. Because they know that Michigan's got a structured strength and conditioning program that a lot of pros would never buy into. They play less games. They can lift more. They can get stronger. They get smarter, and they get more mature. And so all these things that that they used to wince at about colleges, now they're encouraged by. So right now, I think the answer is pretty simple for the majority of people. Now there's always a reason why we laugh about it, but if you're really dumb as rocks and you're not a college student type of player, you go play majors because you don't have to worry about that. You can literally just get up, go dig your ditches for the day in the rink, then come home, you eat, sleep, and get up and dig your hockey ditches again the next day. You don't have any other complications in your world. That's not a big, and I relate that to ditch digging because it gets monotonous sometimes at major juniors because, they play a huge amount of games. They all the emphasis, these towns really are on top of players. You play in the USHL, not every town you walk into has got 10,000 people coming to a game. There's places you'll play where it's got a few hundred people, and it takes some pressure off players. It's not a bad thing to have it where there's not a big fan base that's chasing you down, where you're not worried about sticking around and signing autographs for an hour after games. There's a lot that comes with playing major juniors that you just don't see as much of in the USHL. So we killed it. Mike, we got to go. We've been on forever. I know you've only been on for a few minutes because you were late, but
Right.
Some of us have been doing a lot of work here. So let's see if there's any real quick ones we can do. What is the best Tier 2 junior hockey league? Folks, can't let us go tonight. We do a whole other podcast on that, but let's hang on. Mike, take that one. Let's get that one done real quick, and then we got to go.
Yeah. It's the North American League. Hands down, it's the best Tier 2 league in the country. It has the most commits, especially within the league. So if a kid is uncommitted, they play in the North American League. I think, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they have an 80% or better commitment rate for Division I. And in our last podcast, I think we talked about the Division III, and the NA is probably one of the top producers of Division III players in all of the NCAA.
Top tier Division III.
Correct.
Big to make that distinction. You're not going to just D3. You're going to the top 10, top 15 teams out of the NAL, and that's a huge distinction.
So the reality is, and the best way to describe it is, if you play in the North American League, you're going to play NCAA college hockey unless you choose not to. You're going to either be D1 or D3.
Very good. And that's not the case in every other. Remember, there's only one USA Hockey sanctioned Tier 2 league. Everybody else is self-proclaimed Tier 2. So, for whatever it's worth, that's the way it is. So, folks, thanks for sticking with us. We actually kept people. We have more than one viewer right now, and I appreciate it. Once again, if you get a chance, go to Junior Hockey Advisor and jump on our YouTube page, like and subscribe. We sure appreciate any help you can do there. If you want the seminar, the course on how to hire and everything about a junior family advisor, once you like and subscribe, jump over and DM me off our Facebook discussion group. Send me a DM. I'll be glad to get you the discount code to make that free for you. And besides that, Mike, thank you so much for jumping on. You had some awesome information tonight. Well done on the trivia. I think you got A-. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I'll give you an A- on that quiz. And we got to work that.
Than I thought you'd give out, so I'll take it.
And I think we'll do that more often. I think that was a fun way to get through some information.
Yeah, thanks again for putting that together. I know that takes some time and some effort to come up with it. And, thanks again to everyone who participated and helped me out with some of those questions. I think, was it KS that had, or JS that had the biggest help on the Bulls-Bears question that we had?
The Bears. I thought for sure you'd get that. I hand-fed that one to you.
I read the question wrong. I'm an idiot. We got two idiots talking in a microphone. Things like this happen.
You got a friend there? Because never mind. All right, got to go, folks. Thanks. We'll see you next Monday night for Junior Hockey Advisor, and we'll discuss the process and the path. And then next Wednesday night, we'll talk about the teams, the leagues, and thank you for being a part of this. See you. Bye.